what is called in Arabic as, I mean, a word for revolt or rebellion, you know. And that kind of anger doesn't happen if this fellow has not done something dramatically or drastically wrong. And there was an opposition to the way he put the constitution together. I don't think more than 40% of the people of Egypt voted for it. So there were 60% people who were very angry with the way, you know, he was going about, you know, distorting or transforming the society. So you may say that he may have been there for 1 year, but you look
in large part with what Professor Chwaliya has said. There are suspicions about the so-called second revolution, the second, like, you know, expression of the people's will against Muhammad Morsi. Apart from the suspicions that he mentioned, in a country where internet connections are not all that, you know, it doesn't cover the whole country very, very completely. In fact, in an agrarian society, it's only certain sections of the urban population that has access to all this. To get 21 or 22 million signatures and to organize almost 17, 18 million people on the streets in a matter of 4 or 5 days is something that needs an extraordinary amount of organization, motivation, and money. So there is a fly in the ointment somewhere.
Okay.
And
popular mobilization that they have done the last few days. But eventually what it does, it militarizes the society. It creates grievances.
Okay.
These are all secondary. So what you're going to have now is a recipe for disaster. You know, I think maturity should have prevailed, but you know, in the heat of the moment and the way the mobilization happened, I think people got a raw deal in and they probably don't realize.
It was a Muslim outfit which won the election. Here, the Egyptian people had the benefit of seeing exactly what the Muslim Brotherhood or the Justice Party looks like and what they actually end up doing.
Right.
So it's all easy to, it's not the right way to draw parallels. It is possible that this movement may go underground and do exactly what they were doing all this while in Egypt.
Okay. Okay, we'll come back to the role of the Muslim Brotherhood, how they are going to respond. We'll be right back.
well, the word is, I'd hesitate to use the word militarized, because then you're really talking about a civil war situation where two factions meet in battle, like the War of the States in the US. I'd say that the danger really is, and it's similar to, I mean, it's a question of semantics, is an upsurge of violence, which may actually last for a long time. Apart from all the reasons mentioned by the three of us about the, the very uncertain, volatile state of Egypt at the moment, having failed through political Islam to take over power, as I said, goes underground. And they are, after all, an extremely organized force. It is, a lot of people think that the fundamentalist, the radical Islam is composed of people who are basically frothing at the mouth and, come out of caves and so on. The fact is that the Ikhwan is full of people who believe in the Muslim Brotherhood's ideology. They are doctors, they're professionals, they're engineers.
Mr. Morsi himself.
Exactly. So Ayman al-Zawahiri of the Al-Qaeda, they are the people who oppose the state in a fundamentalist way. In Upper Egypt, for many years, you saw an absence of the state, except for the tourism police to organize.
That exists in the Egyptian society, how the Egyptian polity has become sharply polarized with different sections at loggerheads with each other. What are the kinds of divisions that exist there?
Well, I just mentioned that. There are, of course, as Sanjay mentioned, there are minorities which have traditionally been oppressed and suffer repression, like the Coptic Christians, who are today at least 10% of the population. There are Shias, but they're a very small number. It's basically a Sunni Islamic country, which is why the Salafists are thriving, because the Salafiyya philosophy is a Sunni Islam philosophy. It is not really Wahhabism. As they say, all Wahhabis are Salafists, but all Salafists are not Wahhabis. but it's hardline Islam and it's Sunni Islam. So apart from the minorities, you have the Muslim Brotherhood, which is a potent force. And I mean, the very fact that they won an election with 51% of the vote and with strongholds in Upper Egypt and other places shows that they are a potent force, and the army, and then the people of Egypt, who eventually become the worst sufferers through people power, which at its...
As I said already, they are normalizing some of the utilities and the services. So what this will mean is that if they're going to have a repressive order, it's going to be based on excluding the Brotherhood from the political firmament as much as possible.
What role do you think the Muslim Brotherhood is going to play now? Are they going to go underground as they were before 2011, or you think they're going to work on their democratic credentials and learn a lesson from this entire episode?
It's difficult to predict. I can conceive of two scenarios and the possibility of a third. One, of course, to put it very simply, is that following their sense of betrayal at being ousted out from the government after they won an election, and therefore a feeling that no matter what we do, no matter how much we change, we will never be allowed to come into power. And so we might as well try our other...
It's going to be based on excluding the Brotherhood from the political firmament as much as possible. I think that's the kind of blueprint they have in mind, because they will never allow another election if they are sure from the opinion from the pollsters that the Brotherhood is again going to come back. So from now until then, you may actually, ironically, as a result of this coup, see some good governance.
So whether or not the Muslim Brotherhood will play a role in the political life in Egypt, we discuss that when we return from this short break. Stay with us for the final segment of the show. Back to Insight, we are discussing the road ahead for Egypt. Mr. Mukherjee, what role do you think the Muslim Brotherhood is going to play now? Are they going to go underground as they were before 2011, or you think they're going to work on their democratic credentials and learn a lesson?
In fact, in Syria, which we were discussing for a moment, to be a member of the Brotherhood attracted capital punishment. So they have known oppression, it's nothing new to them, and there may be sufficiently large numbers for them to turn to the violent ideology of a fight against the state. That is one scenario. The other scenario, which I think is not very likely, is that they eschew violence, which they have for quite some time after the massacre. That was one incident. And work hard to reinstate themselves in the eyes of the people, to demonstrate that they cannot be judged on the basis of just a few months of being in government, and eschewing violence, abjuring violence. I don't think that kind of feeling will come into a movement like the Ikhwan. The third scenario, which could be the way they go, is concession will, I think, destroy their credibility in the eyes of the people. They'll be seen as another force that simply wants power, and the people are sick and tired of that kind of government.
Mr. Kapoor?
I think Muslim Brotherhood has come overground. It's not an underground party. It's plugged into the party led by Erdogan. It's not an easy life to be underground. So there might be a bit of anger which is showing up at the moment. There are a few thousand, or maybe I don't know how many people show up every day. They have a sit-in there. It is looking like there are external players who probably might step in and diffuse the situation, because Egypt is very important. It is not something... Factors I think are going to probably come around to normalizing a little bit of the situation that it looks so out of hand.
Okay, Professor Chauliya, what about implications for the region? Because whatever is happening in Egypt will have implications outside its borders, and Muslim Brotherhood has its presence outside of Egypt as well.
Yeah, President Bashar al-Assad of Syria hailed the overthrow of Morsi. And already, as you know, his hand has been strengthened by Hezbollah, and they have been winning battles of late. So it looks, very much the case that in the apps, of course, the Muslim Brotherhood was too preoccupied with domestic problems to be able to actually send jihadis in large numbers. But certainly there were Egyptian Sunnis who were also among the foreign fighters fighting in Syria. So it looks like the unlikely scenario at the beginning of the year that Assad would survive is getting stronger now because of the fall of Morsi, and because of this perception that political Islam or Islamism is on the back foot, because of the in a way it's not because they were rejected by the people, it is because of the old order reasserting itself in various forms, including through the Egyptian military. So right now I think I think the region, we're going to see some degree of fallout also with the Palestinian issue, because the Brotherhood, as you know, was the parent of Hamas in Gaza. And now again Gaza, there is going to be a huge pressure on the Hamas regime because they don't have patronage in Cairo anymore. And those tunnels through which counter-revolution in Egypt is the first step to spread the counter-revolution in the entire Middle East and to halt the Arab Spring altogether. So therefore I come back to my original point. I totally disagree with Baradei's argument that now we are going to restart the revolution. Rather what you have done is you have prevented it from blossoming at all.
Mr. Mukherjee, a quick word on the implications for the region's countries such as Tunisia, Libya, because we understand there was rejoicing and celebration in Tunisia as well when